Mm. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel.
Hope you have a wonderful day. In today's video, we're going to talk about property.
Yes.
Topic that we don't really touch as much anymore.
Yeah, because a lot of people talking about that because there's such a big amount. We tried that, we had that, and it
It doesn't meet in our guideline anymore.
not our strategy, not our long-term strategy for now. Maybe in the future, I don't know. I don't say no for everything,
Yep.
but at this stage, not yet.
Fun fact: a few days ago,
Mm.
midweek somewhere, I had a phone call from a real estate agent somewhere in Sydney. Here I am living in Brisbane already, so I don't know how they got my phone number.
Yeah.
I think my phone number has been sold somewhere. Anyway, fun fact: he goes to an agent called me up and said, "Hey, how would you like to buy investment property, commercial real estate?" And I'm like, I'm not in the market to buy property.
Yeah.
Goes,
did you say that?
Yeah.
And then what do you say?
Is that?
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, okay. Are you in the market anyway?" He goes, "It's not that I'm not in, and I don't. We're not in the headspace of buying investment property at all. Especially commercial." And he goes, "Oh, what are you investing on?" Well, we buy ETFs, and this person have no idea what ETF. Oh, you must have a lot of money in order for you to do that. Because oh, okay. So you don't understand that you can actually buy ETF in a very small amount of fund. Like ETF is a lot more liquid. It's a lot more easier. Anyway, so this person trying to sell me a property.
Did you cross-sell him?
So I'm trying to educate him. He goes, "No, not into property. I'll buy the ETF that's got property, which much more easier and liquid to liquidate instead of buying the physical property." So some of our portfolio in our ETF is property.
Yeah.
So going back to this.
Okay.
So a little bit out of line. So the question goes, this happened to us personally. Is it okay to sell investment property that we can't afford?
So remember my first ever property?
Yes.
It not that we can't afford, but the problem it was you couldn't sleep.
Yes. Because at a certain point it was your property.
Yes, under my name.
We got married and have kids. It becomes our property.
Oh, it's still under my name. Yes.
It's not under your name.
Yeah, but you're the one paying the mortgage.
You are.
Well, it's kind of break even.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that, but for me at that time, we're thinking, it's a property. It's going to grow eventually.
We looked at the numbers. It's break even in that aspect if we have tenant. If we don't have tenant,
of course, all the properties are like that, and it's an apartment, so it didn't grow much eventually. Anyway, it was taking me so long to agree to sell it, so we sold it.
And at the same time, we also bought a few more properties as we grew during our journey into financial freedom. Let's say, we bought investment property. Before we have children, I think we had 2 more, so 2 or 3 more.
Well, remember it was 4
overall.
Yeah.
And then at one stage, it was a single income. It was negatively gearing, and it was a burden for me because it was too hard to juggle 4 property that is in the minus every week. So in other words, yes, we can't afford it in that aspect on a single income to sustain these 4 properties. So we managed to swap them around to become positive. Yeah. Except for this particular one. Yeah. For that particular one property. But at the same time, it's like, hey, we can't afford this.
No, we can't afford it. But the thing is, well, sometimes like one of our friends, they have a similar thing. They're thinking, oh, I should keep it because I want to leave a legacy and I want to give it to my child or my children.
Yeah.
But if you can't sleep at night, if you can't sleep at night and then no one's renting, you have to work for 2 jobs. And then what if is deteriorating your relationship?
It's not just a relationship. It's more like as well as a financial burden on the person who is actually in charge of making the repayment.
The mental health.
The mental health of that, and the mental health of your relationship. You're right. But yeah, the fact that at one stage, I couldn't sleep at night. So
sometimes you still couldn't sleep now.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the fact that like over the long term, property will work.
It will.
In the condition, a certain condition. Yeah, it gives you enough cash flow. It gives you have the strong cash flow
to support it.
Correct.
And then it has to be long term.
Yeah.
So for example, like the first property, what I purchased, I think I paid 10%, and then we withdrew equity to buy another property. So in this property is pretty much not making any money, and there's no capital gain. And then, but then since that property journey, and then I think the last one we purchased was a house in Queensland.
Yep.
So that house was good because I think we paid it off in a few years.
Yep.
Because we sold other property and paid this off because we didn't want to have any more debt. We want to be in control of the money, and even no tenant or for a few weeks we're comfortable. If there's some minor repair, we can do it, because I just been hearing so many owner landlords. They said, oh my god, my tenant broke this. Oh my god, I gotta repair the fence. I just have no more money to pay for the property. Property is a headache. So there are the downside of property, but of course there are good side.
We
experience all this
ourselves.
But then the how you win in property for us, not for everyone, because that's not what they sell you, because they don't make much money for that. So what we did, try to pay it off as soon as we can. We can sleep at night, and then that's it. And
that's
then,
the main part. The main part is like, okay, don't use too many leverage. If you don't have leverage, you can sleep at night. And if you don't have any debt, it makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
In the long term. However, in most of investment guru or investment, I guess property vehicle, let's say,
agents,
leverage as much as you can.
Yeah. So that's what happened to our first property. Bought it with a small deposit, and then withdraw equity, purchase another one with another small deposit. Once it's done, I start working. You the one have to service all these loans. So anyway, it wasn't a happy story. Now we don't have any. But there's another question for that, because these are like a couple, they have a child as well. You're thinking, oh, I should leave that property
as
for
a legacy
or for them to live in. But who knows? When they older, they may not like the property.
And it might be the demographic of it will be different. So, you're looking at right now how it's up and trendy, and over time, over say maybe 20, 30 years, whatever time frame it is, the demographic in the area might be different.
Yep.
So that's where I realized in some instances, a suburb can change dramatically.
Of course, yeah.
So, and whoever that person is, your children who are giving it to, they're probably not gonna
like it,
or they're not.
Or maybe they will think, unless you pay it off, they may think it's a burden because you bought something they didn't like and they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, you out of the market. It's very hard to get back in." Do you really have to go back to property again? For example, like us, we changed from property, like 100% change it to ETF.
ETFs, yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't have enough money to buy one of our kids one house each.
But instead of that, we're looking at ETF because it's a lot more simplified, and you can hold a lot more pool.
Yes. Less risk outside, more diversified.
Yeah, and it's a bigger company that we're holding now. So instead of having the one singular physical property or block or one roof, let's say, we hold commercial property, and we got one of the biggest, I guess, companies that is in Australia.
And the beauty for that is there's no debt, no loan.
Yeah.
And then we put on the app, and the kids can see it every week. We get them to do calculation. Is your investment making profit or not? And then want them to see the long-term goal. So if you keep this and keep putting money, how much can you see in the future? So I'll say for property and ETF, they go the same way. But it's just whichever you're comfortable, and if you like more risk, they're of course high risk, high capital gain. Look at Australian market for the past 10 years. It just grew a lot. I'm not saying it's the best, but I don't know, because we don't have that much of money to put in one block.
We find it's a little bit more risky having just I guess the whole entire capital into one investment.
Yep.
Even we have that big amount of money,
I'm not going to put it in
on just one property. So I would rather own the biggest company in the world.
And we're slowly growing it. When you have to spend money, you put it in. You can, well, I think you can do it too, but you have to borrow money from the bank to buy a property. And then if you have extra money, pay it back in the mortgage. But because ETF, we don't have debt, we don't have interest, we can sleep at night.
Yeah, and it's so liquid in that aspect of it, because you can see it right then and then.
Yes.
What is the value of your current property?
Yeah, and a button, you're holding a button, and then to sell, you can sell it.
Yeah, and there's a lot less emotional attachment, because in the property,
too much.
How much emotional attachment did we go through?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for example, we bought investment property in New South Wales, our very first as a couple investment property, and then we renovated it.
Yeah.
And then we're expecting a higher rental income, but it turned out to be lower than what we expected. And then by the time within 12 months they moved out,
they damaged
the property. Yeah. So when they're damaged, you get this report. When you look at the report, it's like, how devastating is it that within the 12 months that we have to do another renovation?
Yeah.
So it's emotional attachment. And because it was like, I guess, a few hours down the road, so we drove down, have a look at it. It's like how devastating it was, because when we bought it and we saw it and then we renovated it, so we had to do another renovation, and that is, I guess, hurt money as well.
Yeah,
a sweat equity, let's say, like we have to renovate it again in order to be able to be rented out. So that aspect of it, it's a lot more emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, you were reminding me of the bed.
Anyway. So that's just based on our experience. And then whereas now we just look at, okay, then what are we holding? Oh, okay, this is what we're holding. Great. So what is the value at the current stage? Is it giving us dividends? If it does, great.
I just like it less hassle. There's no agent telling you, oh, you can sell for this price. When they put it on market, oh, it's only worth this. But they're getting a commission no matter what.
Yeah.
Solicitor, they get a cut no matter what. Government getting a cut no matter what. You get the leftover coins. If you're lucky, you got money.
So, I mean, again, like we said, property, it can be a winner if you have a good
enough cash. Yes.
So overall, is it okay to sell investment property that they can't afford?
Of course, 100%. You got to sell whatever you can't afford.
Sometimes you have to cut your losses.
Yes.
Sometimes you kind of have to go sit down and like realizing that, oh, what did you learn from this?
Yeah, we learn a lot.
We learned so much of going through that whole journey of the property.
Yep.
And you just have to move on, and you can't blame on other people, because it's just, these are the decisions that you guys make.
Yep.
So that was the decision that we had to make.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway, that's just our 2 cents. If you like the type of content, don't forget to subscribe, comment.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.